time to ring in a new year. 2021 is almost gone. Thank goodness.
I could use that.
Thank goodness. Just be done.
We need a new year.
We need a new year. Fast forward to 2022. However, we need some party nails. I mean, let's celebrate. It's finally gone. Like we're over that hill, hopefully. And we need to party a little, and we have to be festive and I don't know, shiny, sparkly. I don't know, right? Yeah. Forget that whole nude scene. Let's get some sparkles in our life, and
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna do some sparkles.
Do you have some ideas?
I've got some ideas. I think for me, New Year's nails and colors always seem to be sparkly, like gold and silver and black. That's always my combination.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna come up with something in there.
I like it. I can't wait to see them. Let's party.
So you guys, we're making it through the holidays this year, and we're coming up to New Year's, and so I'm going to show you today some really pretty designs using our silvers and some golds and some blacks. So that's going to go with anything that you guys are wearing for the new year. So let's get into our sparkles. We're going to come through, push back our cuticles, get those cleaned up really well, and then we're going to come in with our medium arbor band. I'm going to turn my speed to about 4,000 to 6,000 RPMs. And we're going to come right up around that cuticle area and then right across the surface of that nail to remove the shine. Same thing on our second nail, right up around the cuticle and then through the rest of the body of the nail to remove the shine. And that's all we need to do for removing shine. You don't need to go through a second time. I know a lot of people tend to waste time going through because they think they didn't quite get it on the first time. Once is good enough. Okay, I'm going to dust that dust from the nail. We're going to come in using our swipe. I'm going to take a little pump of that on my manicure brush, and we're going to go through, swipe the nail, get all of that dust off, get all the germs and bacteria cleaned off the nail, and give our nail a really good pH level so that whatever product we put on is going to bond really well to that nail. And just like always, we're going to come in with our protein bond on that natural nail. When I lift my brush out of the protein bond, I like to kind of tap off the extra so I don't flood it onto the nail. And then I always start about halfway down the nail, work across, and then again back up towards the cuticle. So again, I'm not flooding product into that cuticle area. Okay? Same thing on our second nail. Start about halfway and then work your way back. You want to get as close as you can to that cuticle as possible, but not touching any skin. Okay? If you're working on a full set, you're going to go through all 10 nails first and then come back and do a second coat again on all 10 nails. We like to do 2 coats just for added insurance, just to make sure we get good even coverage on the whole nail. Make sure you didn't miss any spots and just get really good even coverage. Alright, okay, so we're going to go ahead and put our form onto our nail. I always like to take that center tab out of the middle, place it on the back so that my form is going to have a little bit more durability to it. So when I pinch it together, it's going to feel a little bit more sturdy. Okay. I'm going to pinch together those 2 little silver tabs nice and evenly, and then pinch together just a little bit on that end. Now on an actual client, on a real person, I would open up this little perforation up at the top because I feel like it's going to give you a little bit more workability and a little more, you can move it around a little bit more easily on a real person. But on these practice hands, I like to leave that closed. So that way I can get my form just right up underneath the nail and it's going to hold on really well. Okay, secure down on the sides. And again, I'm just going to pinch together a little bit more underneath so I get a really nice tight C curve underneath there. Okay. I'm going to use our Synergy gel line today, and I'm going to start with our new concealer pink base. Okay, so if you guys haven't tried it yet, you are going to love it. So if you're used to using the clear base, now we have a pink so that it's going to cover that whole natural nail, and then we're going to go into our concealer pink gel over the top, and that way you're not going to have that extra layer of clear underneath. Okay, so I'm just going to scoop up a little bit of our pink. It's our pink base. And I'm going to brush that through the whole body of the nail, all the way up to the cuticle. Now the base is one of the gels that we don't float onto the nail. All of our building gels you're going to float with your brush on top of the product, but with the base gel you're going to really press that down into the nail. The base is what's going to have the best bond to your natural nail, so you really want to just press that down in there really well. So you're going to get that into the light, and if you're working on a full set, you can just leave that in there as long as it takes you to do the other hand. Now I'm going to switch to my Clear Sculptor, okay? And I like to use the one in the precision tube. It's a perfect, it's a personal preference. If you like to sculpt out with your base gel, you can sculpt with your base. If you like the Clear Sculptor in the pot, you can use that as well. But I'm going to start, just press out and squeeze a little bit of my product right at my smile line there, right where the natural nail ends. And then I'm just going to start to pull that and just kind of feather it out the length of the nail that I want. If I feel like I need a little bit more gel, I'll squeeze out a little bit more and then just keep drawing it down however long I want that nail. Okay. Now right now we're just trying to build an extension. I'm not trying to build any thickness really to the nail. So just enough to build out our extension. Okay. Now a couple of things. I'm seeing, just wipe out my brush there, I'm seeing one little bubble right here, so I want to make sure to come in and pop that bubble so that I don't have that little bubble in my nail. Okay. I'm also going to use my brush, and I'm just going to grab my mixing tile here. I like to have my mixing tile so I can just wipe out my brush and clean out that brush. I'm going to use the edge of my brush to just kind of draw the lines of my sidewalls up into the corner of my nail. Same thing on the other side here. Just going to draw that right up so that pulls all of my product up into that little corner area. Just kind of feather that out so that I have product right into that little corner. That's the area where a lot of people tend to miss their product, and then you get those little notches in the side. Okay? I'm going to kind of draw out the side of that, perfect my edge. Same thing over on here, just perfect that edge. And it looks like my form slipped just a little bit, so I'm going to readjust that. And then again, make sure that I've got product all the way up into my corners here. Okay, we'll go ahead and freeze that into place for 30 seconds and then we'll move on. All right, so we've got our nail out of the light. We're going to come in now with our concealer pink. At this point, I'm still going to leave the form on. Normally I would take the form off, but I haven't really built a whole lot of a connection right through the seam here. I'm going to go ahead and do that with our next layer. Okay, so I'm going to start with my concealer pink, and I'm going to build up a little bit thicker, kind of around my cuticle and starting into my stress area, but I'm going to have it a little bit thinner right at that free edge. Because what we're going to do is come in and we're going to blend some of our glitters back into it. But I don't want to cover up all of the pink. Okay, so we're just going to come squeezing that out and just lightly floating over the surface of it, working it from side to side. And I usually, when I need more product, I'll squeeze it out more at the center of the nail and then work it out to the side so that my sides don't get too thick. Okay? So now at this point, I've got my thickness about where I want it. I'm just going to start to feather that edge out so that our arch doesn't get too thick when I put my glitters over the top. Okay, so just feathering that out. And I like to switch to my brush just to make sure that I get my product as close as I can to my sidewalls and my cuticle area. Just to kind of touch that up a little bit if I need to. And if you don't feel like you need to use your brush, you don't have to. Okay? But now I'm just going to kind of feather that out, feather that edge out a little bit, and that's going to help to reinforce that seam, so that connection between the natural nail and the extension. Okay? We'll feather that out, and then I'll put that into the light and we'll cure that for 30 seconds to a minute. And now I'm going to take my form off because I've reinforced that seam right there, so I shouldn't have any issues taking my form off. I'm going to pinch that together, make sure it's completely released so that I'm not going to end up pulling off that extension, and then pull down. Okay. All right, so our nail is ready to go for our next step. And our next step is going to be, this is the fun step. This is where we're going to start mixing our colors. Okay, so we're going to do some silver and gold today. And I've got a whole bunch of colors picked out, but we're gonna start mixing with Clear Sculptor. You can use either the Clear Sculptor if you like, you can use your build gels, you can use your build pink, your flex, whichever color, whichever consistency you prefer to use. Okay, so we're gonna mix 2 different colors here. Okay, so I'm gonna squeeze out a little bit of clear for both of those. And the first color, we'll start with our silver mixture. So I'm gonna use our Hologram silver, and then I'm also gonna kind of bump it up a little bit with our crushed pearl. I always like the crushed pearl because it just gives a little bit different dimension, a little bit more, a little different dimension, a little different size of your glitters. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and just sprinkle a little bit of our Hologram and a little bit of our silver. And then a little bit of our crushed pearl. And again, you guys, if you feel like you may have added too much glitter, mix it up and see how the consistency is. If you feel like you need to maybe add a little bit of flex to thin it out, go ahead and add some of that. If you feel like it's the right consistency, go with it. Okay. So this one, just kind of spreading it onto the tile, incorporating all of that little loose glitter that's out there. Get that really well mixed in there. And I think that looks about right. I'm going to add just a little bit more of my clear, just to kind of thin that down, just a hair. I feel like it's just a little bit on the thick side for what I want to work with today. So go ahead and thin it out. And get that mixed in. All right, so that's feeling a little bit more like the consistency I want to work with today. I'm going to collect that all together. And then we'll go ahead and mix our second color. So the second one is going to be our gold. And for the gold, we've got our dark gold, we've got the Shimmering Sand, and then those of you that were lucky enough to get the crypto in the Black Friday sales, that's what we're going to use today too. Okay, so we'll start with the crypto. And I love this one because it's got just that really good hologram, but there's some silver in it, there's some gold in it. It's just a really good kind of a balanced color. Okay, and then our dark gold. Okay, and then our Shimmering Sand. Again, just sprinkle however much you want in there. And then again, just for that little extra kick, I'm going to come back with our crushed pearl, just like we put into the silver mixture. Give it just a little bit more dimension. And I think I can see already that I'm going to need a little bit more Clear Sculptor in this, so I'm just going to go ahead and add that right away. And we'll be all set to go. Alright, so we'll go ahead and mix that up just like we did our silver. You can see it's all going to come together. You can see with the little bit of that crushed pearl, you get a little bit more dimension to the nail. Alright. I think we are good with that mixture. Okay, so I've got both of my colors ready to go here. I'm also going to add in our gold and our silver foil. Okay, so we're going to just have those right on hand. Okay. So this is kind of where the fun part comes in. There's no real rhyme or reason to how you place your glitter on the nail. It's just going to be kind of an abstract, flowing kind of a design. So whatever color you want to start with, just grab a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of my gold. I'm just going to kind of drop that onto the nail and just kind of move it wherever it really flows. Okay? This is one of those designs that you don't have to think too much about. Don't overthink it. Okay? I'm going to wipe out a little bit of that gold out of my brush, pick up a little bit of my silver. And I'm just going to kind of bring it around the sides of the gold, wherever you want to place it. Okay? I'm still just kind of floating my brush over the top. It's not like acrylic where I'm trying to press onto the nail. I'm just kind of floating in little circular movements over the surface. pick up just a little bit more gold, maybe down onto the side here. Just a little bit more right down there. And we'll come back, a little bit more of our silver. However it flows, however you want to place it, it's totally up to you. I think we'll just bring in a little bit more up in here, just giving myself a little bit more dimension. That way I can bring a little bit of that gold down on the side. And then come up into the top up here. Now what I want to show you guys here really quick, see if you can see that from the side. Okay, so I've built up a little bit of my arch. So my pink, I'm not going to have to cap that in clear, but I do want to cap from basically wherever my glitter starts forward, so that when I do my filing, I'm not going to file off that glitter. So I want to kind of just eyeball it and see where do I need to put more glitter and where am I going to have to cap. And if I cap too much, my arch is going to get too thick. So I want to make sure I'm not pulling my glitter back too far. So I think right where it is about right. I'm just going to kind of give myself an end point here, so I know exactly where my product is going to stop. Okay. If you feel like maybe you want to swirl it together a little bit more, go ahead and drag your brush through your product. If you're liking how it looks, go ahead and get it into the light, set it into place. Okay, so I'm going to come in with just a little bit of my base gel, just to give myself a little bit more of a tacky surface, because now we're going to add in our foils. So again, I'm going to start with some gold and some silver. Oops. And feel free to place these wherever you like to. I sometimes will like to take a little piece out and just kind of set it onto my mixing tile to, again, just kind of pick up little pieces of it. So I'm going to set that right in through my silver. This is just going to give us a little bit more different dimension, a little bit more shine, a little more sparkle. You can kind of move it around however you like to, break it up a little bit more if you want to, or add the chunkier pieces, however you want to place that in there. And the fun thing about foil is wherever it goes, it goes. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to look good wherever you put it. And we'll take a little bit of our gold. A little bit goes a long way. So I'll take that out. And break that up just a little bit more. There we go. Okay, and again, just setting it right down into that tacky layer of base. You can add a little bit, you can add a lot. It's all on what you and your clients decide on. Alright, I think I'm going to add just a little bit more right up top here. And then I think that is about where I like it. So we'll go ahead and put that back into the light one more time for just a quick 30-second freeze. Okay, so now we've got our nail out of the light. Our glitters are cured into place. Our foil is cured into place. So now we're going to come back with our Clear Sculptor. And I'm just going to cap basically from where that glitter is through the extension. So just capping our glitters so we don't file those off, and then building in our arch to the nail. Notice that I keep the nail kind of angled downward, so that way my product runs down the length of the nail rather than down to the side walls. Okay. Again, building up that arch and just pulling through the extension. And then when I do get to the end, I try to just kind of feather and taper off that end, so just enough to cap, but I don't want to get it too thick on the end. Okay, again, I like to use my brush just to come in, make sure that everything is where I want it to be. And as I'm looking, I can see I'm probably going to still need to add just a little bit more, but I don't want my product to get too thick at this point. I'm going to just feather out that back edge, and then we'll go ahead and pop this into the light. Now this time when I put the hand into the light, now I'm going to use our low heat mode, Okay. So what the low heat mode is going to do is, because we've got a lot of gel on the nail right now, if I were to just put it into the light at full strength, what's going to happen is you're going to get that heat spike. Okay. With the low heat mode, it starts on a low heat and then gradually increases all the way up to the high heat for that full cure. Okay. So when you have extra glitter or when you have extra gel on there, start with the low heat and then you won't get that heat spike. Before I do any filing, before I wipe off that tacky surface, I'm going to check my nail. So if I look at it from the side, I can still see there's a little bit of a low area here that I want to make sure is built up enough. So if I were to kind of in my head imagine I'm going to file through this area here, this is still going to be too low. So I want to make sure to add just a little bit more product right through there to build up that arch area. Just to kind of fill in that low spot. You can always add more gel as long as you haven't wiped off that tacky layer. So make sure before you do the wipe with swipe, check that area, check the whole nail, make sure you have the structure that you need. Okay, I'm checking from both sides because sometimes what you see on one side is not the same as what you're going to see from the other view. Okay, so check on your right side, check on your left side. Okay, so now that looks like I've got enough product on there. I'm going to go ahead and do a full 1 minute cure. Now at this point, because I was just adding a little bit of extra gel to it, I'm going to go into the 60-second full power cure. Okay, this way, again, because I've just added a little bit of gel, it's not going to get that heat spike. Okay, we'll take that out. Now before I finish this, I actually just want to show you something really quick. So right now we've got our silver and our gold mixed up. If you want to save those, we have the white mixing jars, and I actually have a container that some product that I had mixed earlier. So a lot of times what I like to do is I'll just take whatever I have left on my mixing tile and mix all of that together. Our silver and our gold is going to just turn into a really pretty combination. And a lot of times at the end of my day, whatever's left on my mixing tile, it could be silvers, reds, blues, all the different colors. I will actually just mix all of that up together, put it into one of our containers here, and again mix with whatever else is left in there. And that's kind of your catch-all container. So if our client comes in and says, I have no idea what I want to do, you can always pull this glitter out and show them, and that's going to be a really fun extra glitter that you don't have to mix at the time. So you can definitely save your glitters for next time. Alright, so we're going to take off that tacky surface with our swipe. We're going to use one of our lint-free wipes. We're going to cleanse that off. I'm going to go ahead and file this nail out, and then I'll show you how to finish it. Okay, so we've finished our nails here, and I've gone ahead and sculpted out another clear extension. On this one, I'm going to show you how to sugar with a black glitter. And then this one, we're just going to add a little bit more of an accent. Since we've got our silver and gold, I just want to add a little bit more black to that. So we're going to use a little bit of our Mission Control Overdrive. That's our black gel paint. Okay. And I'm going to use our micro detailer for this. This is just a really nice fine brush to do some really pretty lines. Okay. Before I do anything on top of the nail, I'm going to go ahead with our protein bond and do just one coat over the whole nail, just to make sure that our top coat adheres really well, and then also our little accent lines are going to adhere really well. Okay. I'm going to protein bond both of these nails so they're both ready to go. Same thing, just one thin even coat brushed over the whole nail. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to use, again, a little bit of our black with our micro detailer brush, and what I like to do is I actually like to use my nail as a palette. That way I can just draw my brush right through that paint and get a nice thin amount on my brush. Okay. I'm just going to come and just kind of where my silver and gold come together, I'm just going to do some little lines just to kind of separate our silver and our gold. You can accent however you want. If you like your design just with the silver and gold, you don't have to put in those little extra lines of the black. But if you want just a little more dimension to the nail again, go ahead and add those in. And this is something that you don't have to do perfectly straight lines. Give them a little texture, give them a little motion, just to kind of break up that silver and gold a little bit. So Again, as I'm working, I'm just kind of drawing my brush through that paint. I don't want to have a little bubble of that paint. So whenever you pick up your product out of the jar, you can kind of see there's a little bubble at the end of my brush. Okay? We don't want that, so I'm just going to draw through that, get rid of that extra, and then come back in so I can get a nice fine line. So then I can just go again right onto my nail, just that nice thin amount. And I think I've got just about where I want my accents. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cure that. When you're working with the Mission Control gel paints, if you're, say, doing a couple of different nails, you can actually freeze that gel paint for about 5 seconds and then move on to the next. You don't have to fully cure it all the way through for 60 seconds, but when you are finished, then you're going to fully cure it for 60 seconds. Okay, so I think I'm done with my accents on this one. So let's go ahead and finish up our sugared nail. So I've got just a little bit of dust on there. I just want to make sure I get rid of that before I go in. When I'm sugaring with black, black is kind of tricky to work with because it's a really solid glitter. We have our jet black, so it is actually a solid black. It doesn't have any other colors to break it up. So if you try to put this on the whole surface of that top coat, what's going to happen is the black is going to cover that top coat and it's not going to let the light go through it to cure it all the way through. So I'm actually going to add a second color in there to help break it up so that the light can get through those spots where the other glitter is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix a little bit of our jet black, just a little scoop of that, and I'm going to use a little bit of what we used in our other nail for as an accent. Okay, you can use whatever lighter glitters you want to. A lot of times I'll use either the diamond dust or the crushed pearls will work good. But today, because we've got that gold in our accent nails here, I'm going to add the gold in to our black. Just give that a little bit of a mix. I might add just a little bit more. Maybe just a little bit. Okay. That way our black is going to get a really good cure all the way through. Okay. Now again, when I'm working with black, I actually like to come in with our Manicure Black 101 and do just one coat of this underneath. That way it's going to kind of coat the nail, and if we do have any areas that maybe the glitter didn't quite adhere to, that black underneath is going to help to kind of fill that in. Okay, so I'm just going to come right around my edges and then up to my cuticle area. Just polishing on just a nice thin even coverage. And you're going to see with this first coat, it's not going to be a solid opaque color. It's going to be a little bit sheer, and that's okay. We don't need it to be opaque at this point. I'm actually going to wipe off a little bit of that extra, make sure I have a good even coverage all the way through. Okay. We'll go ahead and cure that, and then we'll do our sugar technique. So again, I'm just going to do one coat of the black. Then I'm going to come in with our Ultimate Finish gel, and I love to use the Ultimate Finish for when I'm doing my sugaring because the Ultimate Finish doesn't have that tacky surface layer that you would have to wipe off. So this one, once it's cured all the way through. Okay. I'm going to brush on a thin layer of this. I don't want it too thick because again, whatever glitter we put on top is going to absorb in. And if you have too much glitter soaking into your top coat, again, that may cause issues when you cure it. Okay, so we want to make sure we have a thin application so it's going to cure all the way and it's not going to soak up too much of the glitter. So just a nice thin even coat. And you can see that I'm actually dragging off some of that extra just to make sure that I don't have too much. Okay, then we'll come in. And you can either use a little scoop or you can just shake it onto the nail. Okay, so today I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle that right on the nail. And I kind of go at a little bit of a diagonal across the nail just so I can see that it's getting coated all the way through. Make sure that you turn the nail on the side so that you can sprinkle onto those edges. Okay, same thing. Turn that to the other side. Make sure that I sprinkle all the way through the whole surface. Okay. Now, before I cure, I'm just going to give the nail a little bit of a tap to shake off that extra glitter. Do not go with your brush to try to dust it off at this point, because that top coat underneath is still tacky and we don't want to smudge it up. Okay, so go ahead and get that back into the light. Now at this point, we'll go ahead and do a full cure on our top coat. And with the Ultimate Finish top coat, I actually like to do a cure of 2 minutes rather than just the 60 seconds, because I feel like it gives it just a little bit better of a cure. And especially when we're working with something that's a little bit more temperamental, always cure it a little bit more than you think, just to be on the safe side. Okay, so I'll do a 60-second and then I'll do an extra 60-second cure after that. So now at this point, now we can take our manicure brush and just dust off that extra. Alright, and a lot of times what I like to do is just around the edges, just go through with your file just to kind of soften those edges, make sure that there's no little pieces of glitter poking out. And this isn't going to do anything to the bond, it's not going to take any product off, it's just going to soften up those edges so that they don't catch on anything. Okay, so this nail is all done. We'll go ahead and finish this one. I just want to make sure I get a little bit of that glitter off of there. We've already protein bonded this nail, so we're just ready for our Ultimate Finish top coat. And one coat of this, again back into the light for 60 seconds, up to 2 minutes, and this one will be done. Alright, again we'll go ahead and cure this for 60 seconds, up to 2 minutes. So we got our nails all set here and ready to go. So again, our sugared technique, and then a little bit of our dimensional nail. And so now I'm going to go ahead and finish up the full set and show you what you can wear for New Year's Eve.
Thank you so much for watching our nail videos. To watch more, head right over here. And to subscribe to our channel, click right over here.